Hey guys, Foxdrop here. Today I'm doing a video on the best ways to learn for League of Legends. They say if you give a man a fish, you'll feed him for a day, but teach him to fish and he will smell a fish and his wife will leave him. And that's basically the principle upon which we are doing this video today. So rather than specific tips for how to be a better League player like I normally do, this video will be more about general tips on how you yourself can make yourself a better League player, so that eventually one day you won't need me at all. Although having said that out loud, that does make it sound like this video might not be the smartest thing for me to make, but whatever. And quite topical for this video, this is being made in partnership with their friends over at Pro Guys, who are all about helping you become better players. So much so that as part of your membership with them, you can chat anytime, anywhere, with high-rated players to ask them questions to help you out. Quite nifty, eh? Anyway, moving straight on with the video, the first way that I think is a really important factor to help you improve as a League player is to watch and study your replays. The great thing about replays is that you can go back and look over a game when you're not in the heat of the moment, so you're not as emotionally attached to it. That means that your brain is kind of more clear to analytically break down the game and really learn more from it. Because when you're playing in the game, your emotions can take over a little bit. It's hard to see where you marked up. You're always thinking that other players are doing really awful things. You're the best player in the world. But when you watch back the replay, it's a lot easier to identify your mistakes, and part of this is just because you do have more of that analytical scope going on. On top of that, watching your replays back also gives you a third-person perspective. It means that you can look at your own plays and kind of not even know it's you doing the play. I know that sounds really bloody stupid, but essentially what I mean is that you're just looking at yourself playing as if you'd be watching anyone else play. It also means that you can then observe more of what's going on in the game around you, because when you're playing games, sometimes you get a little bit tunnel visioned or whatever, and you don't necessarily have a proper scope of what's going on around you in the bigger picture. But when you take yourself out of the game and you're just looking back at it, it is a lot easier to see those things. And that, combined with the first point I made about not being as emotionally attached to the game when you watch the replay afterwards, all makes watching replays a really good way for you to be reflecting upon your mistakes and improving your game. If you're wondering how exactly you go about watching your replays back, because Riot hasn't released their replay client, but that's they're an indie company, they're a startup, guys, and it's difficult to do. But either way, what you should do is go over to replay.gg and type in your summoner name to register your account. What we then need to do is go into your client and rename one of your room pages replay.gg, and after that, every single ranked game that you play will be saved as a replay on the replay.gg site. And from there, all you gotta do is download it and watch it at your leisure. Moving on to our second point on how to become a better League player, you should be watching streams and YouTube, but not necessarily the LCS. The reason why watching educational YouTube videos and streams can be so beneficial for helping you become a better player is because you can really get a perspective of what that person is thinking and what they're doing. The reason I wouldn't necessarily recommend watching the LCS is because not only is it a bit of a different scene, the professional scene, to the solo queue scene, but also on top of that, it doesn't really give you that first-person perspective of the players involved. You can watch Bjergsen, or you can watch Faker, or you can watch Doublelift, or whoever your favorite player is. You can see what they're doing, and that's great. But what you can't see is the thought processes of those players. You can't get into the brains, into their minds, and really break down what it is they're doing and why they're doing it. That is the core part of you learning from a better player, is understanding why people are doing what they're doing at any given time. And again, that is why I do recommend watching these educational streams and YouTubers, because you can just compare yourselves to what they're doing. They might be ganking at a certain time, or harassing at a certain time, or recalling at a certain time, or putting wards down at a certain time. And unless you get that first person perspective, and even better if that person doing the video or the stream can really explain why it is they're doing these things, unless you have that perspective, you won't know why they're doing it, and therefore it's really hard for you to kind of pick up on it and mold it into your own game. Like, it's really easy to just see someone going aggressively, for example, in a trade, a harass, and then they get a kill, and you're like, okay, this person's playing this champion and he's going aggressive, that's what I need to do. But unless you really get the context of why this play happened and how it was so successful, it's really hard for you to effectively put it into your own game and use it in your own arsenal. As for these educational streamers and YouTubers, well, of course, the best one, just randomly off the top of my head, is this geezer called Foxdrop. He's just so amazing and also very handsome. So I would definitely recommend checking him out. But outside of that, you know, there's loads of different people. If you want to leave your suggestions down below in the comments of who you think are good streamers or YouTubers that you personally learned from, and that would be awesome, because then, you know, you guys can go into the comments and maybe discover some new content creators. Moving on to our middle point here, number 3 on how to best improve as a League of Legends player, it is quite obviously to play the game a lot. Now, I'm not saying you need to just sit in front of your PC for like 12 hours a day mindlessly spamming solo queue, and that if you don't do that, then you're just bound to fall behind and you'll never improve and you'll never be a good player. Of course, I'm not saying that. In fact, as you'll see later on, I think that's actually quite bad to do. But generally speaking, if you want to be a better player, if you want to improve at anything in life, you're going to have to put in the hours behind it. Like if you're trying to learn a new language, or you're trying to learn a new instrument, or you're trying to get better at a certain sport, you just need to put in the hours, you need to put in the work and practice. The more you play the game, obviously the more you'll be refining your mechanics, so you'll just improve just like that. But also you'll be more exposed to the game overall, and you'll have more experience in things such as, you know, certain lane matchups or whatever. But honestly, this point isn't just about playing the game by itself, it's also about playing the game with purpose to actually improve. There's a difference between spamming games and not really wanting to improve, or not really actively thinking about what it is you're doing wrong to then go and improve from, and actually, you know, playing a game and then thinking whenever things go tits up, like, alright, what did I do wrong here? How could this have gone better for me? Like, if you actually play and then don't have that massive ego behind you and are playing to genuinely improve, that mindset shift is just a massive factor by itself to even allow you to improve. Like, if you think you're the best player in the world, or you think that, you know, you're stuck in elo hell, or that it's not your fault but it's your team's faults, then that's not really a mindset that's going to help you to improve at all. You need to first be able to take the blame, you know, accept that it's something you're doing wrong. You're the only person who is in every single one of your games. You're the only common denominator, and therefore you are the only thing you need to worry about when it comes to improving the outcomes of your games. I know I've talked about this whole like elo hell argument loads, and it's kind of like beating a dead horse at this point, but if there's any of you out there watching this video who still think you're in elo hell, or still don't think that it's stuff that you're doing wrong, just get that out of your head, or you'll never be any better at League. Moving on to our fourth point here, it is the value of having coaches or these guide sites. The reason why I've put this as a separate point to watching YouTube videos or watching streams is because this is something that is more tailored to you personally than just watching a video or watching a stream. Like, if you're watching a video, watching a stream, that can definitely be beneficial to you, but you still need to have that analytical ability, or, you know, the ability to apply the knowledge that you're watching to your own game. When you have a personal coach or tutor, or you go to one of these guide sites like proguides.com, then you kind of get rid of that element where you need to then apply things for yourself, because the whole point of that very one-to-one experience is that they apply it for you. They're directly looking at your game and then suggesting things that you can improve on. Now, these things cost money and you don't have to do them to get better, but there is a reason why they have a price tag, because it is an effective way to be learning. You can find yourself a good teacher, or find yourself a resource that you really find beneficial, then that's going to be really good for you to improve. Now, before we move on to our last point, boys and girls, I just want to thank you for watching so far. I really do appreciate it. If you're liking it, feel free to drop me that cheeky thumbs up, and of course subscribe to me here if you want to see more videos of this type. Also, finally, Foxdrop shirts, they're out at 500,000 subscriber celebration. I'll put a link to them down below in the description. You're seeing them on screen right now. Shout out to Mumble Jumbo and Spencer who've already ordered their shirts. You guys are awesome. But anyway, our last point on improving your League of Legends skills: to not play the game too much. I know that sounds a bit counterintuitive because I just said that you should play the game a lot. Essentially what I'm saying is don't just mindlessly over and over and over and over and over grind solo queue to the extent where you just burn yourself out and get really bitter about the whole ranked experience. Whereas the more quality time you spend playing League will influence how good you are at the game, just the more time you spend flat out doesn't necessarily mean you'll be getting any better. It is important to be taking breaks and to realize that you don't have to be spamming the game 24/7, and in fact doing so you're just going to burn yourself out. You won't like the game anymore, and that's not good for helping you at all. But anyway, that's all I want to say for this video, boys and girls. I hope you liked it. If you did, feel free to chuck that cheeky thumbs up. You can also subscribe to me for more educational League content. You can find me on Facebook, on Twitter, and catch me streaming at twitch.tv/Foxdrop. All those links are down below in the description. But most importantly, boys and girls, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and I will see you in my next video.